morning and welcome back to the third episode of this podcast.
Yeah, of Hormonize, the podcast in which we talk about how to live in harmony with your hormones.
Yay! And on today's episode, we're going to talk about a very requested and relevant topic, which is nutrition and sports. So we're going to break nutrition down into certain categories like dairy, but also we want to say beforehand that we don't want to put anyone on a diet. We just want to explain all the processes that are going on. This might be a sensitive topic for some people, but we just want to have an open conversation about it and give you the information you need.
Yeah, exactly. It's very important to know what's going on in your body with the certain foods. And also we won't be able to touch upon everything. So there will probably be even way more things that are involved, but it's a really big process and it also differs per person.
Absolutely.
Maybe, however, it's fun to first talk about something that was in the news yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Because, yesterday was the 12th of December. Today's the 13th. And when we got home, we saw in the news that they were talking about hormones and women.
Yes.
Women's health on the national television. And they were basically saying that there's not enough attention towards women's health and that many illnesses for women and that are based off of a woman's body are just overlooked in general.
Yeah, and that there's also such a big taboo on it and that needs to be spoken of more. It was also because it's it costs so much money to not treat these things. So it's probably money motivated. But still, it's a really big step towards having more focus on women's health.
Yeah.
The fact that it's talked about on national television and
that's
that
amazing.
The Dutch gynecologist came forward with this is a big step in the right direction.
Go Netherlands.
So that was really nice to see yesterday. Let's dive into nutrition. So,
a topic that was very requested on our Instagram.
Yes.
Many people wanted
what
to know.
foods to eat with your cycle. Again, disclaimer, we're not saying how you should eat. We are just giving suggestions on what would be best. One size fits none. You have allergies, intolerances. There are so many things that differ per person and think about.
I mean, that's the difficult part about nutrition, that it's so individual. That you can never have one diet that is good for everyone.
Exactly. We have, however, set up a few guidelines that would work best for everyone. Mm-hmm. But of course, you need to still look into it with your individual process in your body.
Yeah, absolutely.
And before we dive into it, I want to mention something that you mentioned before we started this podcast is we had the quote, "What you eat is what you are." And that is, of course, true. But then you said what you eat is what you are.
Yeah.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah. So, for example, if you eat beef or if you eat chicken or anything like that, what that animal eats is what you are going to be. So if it's pushed full with antibiotics, we're going to go deeper into that. If it eats really bad things for you or just garbage, then you're going to have that in your body as well. But if it's just, has a natural diet, a really good diet themselves, then you will also have that within you.
Yeah.
So that's also really important to look at if you do eat everything.
A healthy beef also means a healthy person that eats the beef.
Yeah.
So we are now going to go into the few guidelines that could work for everyone, but then again, very individual.
Yes.
And see it more as a lifestyle rather than a diet. All these diets that we've been marketed with in the last years. I mean, we've all been 15-year-old girls. We've all tried diets.
Oh, yes.
Have they worked? No. Maybe short term. So
it's all a short-term fix again.
Exactly.
Just as long as you can have a lifestyle with it, then that's really great. But that also means living in balance. You won't be perfect 100% of the time.
Wanted to say. This is not a diet. We are proposing to lose, fat or to become more skinny.
No.
This is we are suggesting foods and other
just
nutrition. Yes,
nutrient dense things for your body that will help your body.
Good for your body.
Yeah,
That's it. Yes.
Go through the processes.
At the end of the day, I saw this the other day on Instagram somewhere. There are no bad foods.
Right.
It's just about balance. Of course, some things are better than others, but just because you eat some bad food doesn't mean it's necessarily bad for you. Just as long as you balance it out,
Yeah.
it will always be good.
Never too much of a certain thing. Yeah.
No. So, okay,
Let's dive in.
The first thing that we wrote down was to eat whole foods, which means unprocessed foods. Processed, maybe let's explain that, is just when a food has gone through a process of becoming like a different food. So, for example, grain, it grows through a whole process to become flour. But during that process, like all the vitamins that were initially in that grain has been taken out in this processing process. And it doesn't offer the same nutrients anymore as if you were to eat the whole food or like maybe process it yourself as if it's not massively produced. And that's counts the same for like many things, or just like a chocolate bar that you get in the store, something that has tons of added ingredients and additives and preservatives into it.
If you read the back of a label and you can't even understand what the words mean.
If there are numbers.
If there are numbers in there. But even if you turn it around and you see like a whole list of more than 10 or 20 or 30 even ingredients on there, that's not supposed to be.
Yeah, really weird to think about that.
Yeah.
They add all of these different
and
substances,
into like
chemicals. I don't even know what they are.
Things like if you have like, for example, oat milk, like some people could say that that's good for you and it's a good alternative, or almond milk. And then you take a look at the ingredients and there are like 10 in there. And I'm like, isn't it just almonds and water and salt? Like if it's just those 3 ingredients, you're fine. But then it has all those added things in there and it's unnecessary.
Right.
Like,
But
so
why do they like process it so much?
Yeah, it's probably because of like to make it last longer.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
Could be,
Maybe because it needs to travel, like it needs to be exported.
Travel. Yeah, I think that's like also part of like the mass producing.
Yeah.
And that's also why like one of the other things is to eat locally. That also means like with the seasons, but to get your food locally. It's not only often like cheaper because it doesn't travel as much, but it's also way better for you because your body is adjusted to it and you don't need all those preservatives in this.
Plus, you know that it's going to be fresh. If you buy it, for example, strawberries from the market instead of the supermarket, you know that it's coming from the land you are and they're probably more fresh.
And you're supporting the local farmers instead of like the mass-producing
and
companies.
Sustainability.
It's also sustainable. So it's not only like better for your health, it's also more sustainable.
Right. And even a fun fact about this is that like if you have hay fever, it's good to like eat honey from like the local bees because they actually absorb all the things that go around in your environment and they produce that into the honey. So it's actually some form of natural medicine.
Yeah.
So this is the power of local foods.
Honey is a power source, honestly. And especially, but there again, like the local honeys are so good for you. So eating locally, also with the seasons.
Yeah.
So like eating in winter, what's in winter, what is grown locally in winter, your body is going to be more adjusted to it. Like what we said, if you eat a pineapple in winter, your body is going to be like, it's not summer and 30 degrees. And I'm not
if you live in the Netherlands, then it's
exactly.
not warm.
It depends on where you come from. If you live like in a really warm country, you're going to want more lighter and fresh foods like that. So
follow the seasons.
Follow the seasons, try to eat locally, look into like local farmers as well. We can post one online. There's a really nice website for the Netherlands that you can find all your local farmers with what they sell. Yeah, it's really great. And you support local farmers and it's often cheaper. Then one thing is eating organic. And this is a topic that is also still discussed, like if it's better or not. And I don't think it's realistic to buy everything organic because it is more expensive. Right. However, there are like every year they bring out like foods that are really filled with pesticides, which are better to like, it's called the dirty dozen or something. And then they say like, okay, if you can buy these foods organic or try to buy as much as possible organic. Of course, not everything. But
and I mean, it also touches upon like the xenoestrogens that we talked about last time, like all the imbalances that can occur in your progesterone and estrogen because of all the things they put in, like in your shampoo, but also on the pesticides in your food.
Yeah, they just spray it on top of it. Like if you see like the videos of them spraying the fields, the pesticides to make them grow, they are wearing like gas masks and such like that, and you're eating it.
Oh my goodness.
So, and in America, it's even worse. Like in there, they have certain rules that are different. It's even worse there, but here it's also not too good. So it is important like to try to eat locally and if you or organic, and if you don't like wash it well. Also, if it's organic, like wash it well. You can wash it with like baking soda and vinegar. And
also, I heard you mentioning before when we were discussing this that even if it says organic, you should still check the ingredients that are in
so
there.
That's the same with like all the diet things that we discussed. If you are on a diet for a certain like gluten-free or just organic or no sugar, it doesn't mean that that's healthy. If something says organic, but it's an ultra-processed food with 30 plus ingredients in it, it doesn't mean
still not good.
That it's good. Yeah. So I think that's really like the marketing thing that they put behind it.
And I think the greatest example of this is like so instead of eating meat, you eat like subsidies for meat. But those things are so highly processed. I'm not saying all of them, but in the beginning, definitely a lot of them. So sure, you're not eating meat, but then you are, as a replacement, eating an ultra processed food thing.
I think that's the big issue with like the trend of being vegan. Like being vegan is fine, and I think you can really be healthy with eating it. And that also differs, of course, per body, how you react to it. But if you just eat whole foods, like good foods for you while being vegan, and you take maybe extra supplements of things you're missing, then you'll be fine.
I've met this woman on my trip to Verona, and she was studying food technology, which I didn't even know was a thing. And she was telling me that even behind gelato, ice cream, you have so much like behind every food that we see produced. There is so much going on, like all these ingredients. They study those to make it last longer, of course, to be good for transportation,
to make it sell more. Like I think the food industry has become like really a money source, of course, but
like there's a whole
it has
study about it. You know?
But I think that's a really nice example, like of showing that you need to be aware where your food comes from. So it's not like, this is my opinion, but I don't think it's bad to eat meat, just as long as you realize it comes from an actual cow. Like it's not just a piece of meat that you get in the store. Like it is, but like if you are not able to like realize that it used to be a beautiful cow standing in like beautiful grass, and now you're eating it and you get disgusted by it, well then maybe you shouldn't eat meat.
Exactly.
Like
I've experienced, like I've seen it in front of my eyes of like really gruesome stories, and I still like, okay, it sucks to see, but now I know the whole process. And I do choose to still eat it because I believe it is better for my health, and it's yummy. So,
but that's good to also explain a little bit more, because we also wanted to go into like how the beef in like supermarkets might be like, well, they are quite processed, bad for you. And you get your meat from like a very local store, local farm. They explained the whole process to you. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
You can even meet the cow.
Practically you can. But you can like meet the cows that you're gonna eat or get the milk from. And I think those are like important parts of it, because the people that say red meat or meat is bad for you, I fully understand if you're talking about supermarket meat. Like if I only had to eat supermarket meat, I would probably be a vegetarian. So the meat is like ultra processed. It has full of antibiotics, and also it's like pumped up with water when it's being processed. The cow, what they eat, it's so bad for you. Have you ever noticed, like one time we ate together and we made like
with bacon,
the bacon. You saw all the water. You saw all the water like coming out, and it was like it was getting really gross. And that was not, like Margot, you said it. It's not how it's supposed to look like.
No, absolutely. Basically, the pancetta deflated. They became like a super small dice, and all water, obviously oily, fat. I don't know what it was.
You're from Italy. You make it often there, and from local sources, it's not what it looks like.
No.
So there you can see that ultra process.
Absolutely.
And then I get my meat is like from a local farmer that only has grass-fed beef. Like for cows, it's grass-fed. Chickens, they eat different things, of course, so it depends per animal. But if you are eating beef, it's better to eat like local, grass-fed, and organic. So if they just eat grass, then you're going to be fine, because that's what the cow eats. It's going to be way better for you. And then he also explained to me like the whole process of how they are killed, and I won't go into detail here, but like it is, I found it really good to know. And I found it like, I understand that people still find it unethical, but I found it more ethical and more calming than eating
the mass production.
Yeah, than the mass production.
I mean, even knowing that the cow is a happy cow for part of her life instead of being in those cages, one next to each other. They don't even have space. They stay in their own
if
excrement.
they're outside for the whole year with just eating their grass and being happy little cows, like, yeah, that's nice. And also
That's
same with
nicer.
the milk, like, also local.
And I mean, if we go back into the days of like farming, like at the end of the day, it is normal. Also back then, it was considered normal to eat meat, but they did it with so much respect. So they did have some cows, but they have had a whole ritual before, well, killing it and eating it. But that's the thing, like we lost like the touch of like the source where it comes from.
Yes,
the respect of it.
That's really
like
good
the meat
insight.
is a cow, like it's a living, breathing animal.
Yeah.
And it's not bad to eat meat, but just be aware where it comes from.
Yeah. I think that's a really good insight to have, like respect for where your food comes from. And that counts for every food. Then I think like the general guidelines, the main ones we've discussed now, we've covered, and with the meat. So we would like to go into the foods per cycle, because there's also a whole thing that you can do, or that you can eat, things that you can eat to support each phase of your cycle that you're in.
Right. I mean, this is a very interesting one. Like, this is one of my personal favorites because it's just crazy to see like how you can support your body in her natural process.
Yeah. Throughout each phase, you need something more of something, less of something. Really, really interesting.
So we thought we dive into it per phase and what things that you can do, also specific foods that you can eat, and what is happening. Let's start off with the menstrual phase.
So, like, it's just a very logical reasoning. So the menstrual cycle is called the inner winter. So here it's really nice for your body to support it with like warm foods, like really good nutrients, strong nutrients, or like also iron. I mean, you're losing blood.
You're losing so much blood.
So you're like iron can be so good for you.
Yeah. And I think also because like both your hormones, they drop. Your body is also going to be colder at like the inner winter.
Yeah.
This is actually, you can also then see that in your basal body temperature that we discussed. So you are really colder. So you need those nutrient dense foods like soups and stews and all those vitamin rich foods. Maybe specific foods that you can eat, like Amber, what you said, iron rich. These include things like green leafy vegetables, lentils, beans, vitamin C rich foods as well. These are like citrus fruits, berries, again, broccoli, red peppers. Vitamin K actually reduces heavy bleeding. Like it can help with that if you're bleeding very heavily. And therefore are leafy greens, blueberries, cheese, and eggs. And of course, these are all vitamins like that you can also take as supplements. However, try to get most of it from your foods, of course. And then the omega-3 fatty acids are really important. Like they can help with the inflammation and the cramping. So salmon, flaxseed, tree nuts, those are all, really good to support your menstrual phase. And I think also like during your menstrual phase, it's even the most important part of the cycle to really look at what you're eating and support it.
Yeah. I mean, your body's working really hard, so you can support it. And it's also good to say that with the dark leafy greens, like the darker and the deeper the green, like the better that they're going to be for you. So like really deep, dark kale is really good for you.
And it's also actually fun to say like during your menstrual cycle, like we're saying you need to eat more, but that's also because you are burning more calories. Your metabolism was working way harder. So also don't feel bad like about needing more food during certain parts of your cycle. Because I feel like sometimes like I have cravings and I want more food, and I feel maybe sometimes kind of bad that I want to eat so much during that phase. But then I realize like, no, my body needs it right now. Yeah.
What about some cravings? Because I usually get cravings when I'm on my period. I usually eat Nutella. A lot of Nutella. I love Nutella. Do you think that's a good thing, or what would you?
I think it's very understandable. Like I think everybody has cravings, like sweets and pizza. It's good to realize they do throw hormones out of balance, like all those sugars. I think you can, of course, there again, it's a balance. You don't need to cut everything out. But it's maybe nice to add on to it with like, you have like a spoon of Nutella and then you also eat some dark chocolate and some fruits, nuts and seeds, and you make like a little thing out of it.
Okay.
Like, yeah, like having those sweets still, like dark chocolate and fruits, but they are actually really good for you.
I mean, again, it's about balance. So if you eat a spoon of Nutella or maybe a couple more, I mean, that's not the problem. It's just a good solution to also eat some nuts with it, for example. Yeah, that's a good one to say.
Like combining things, because otherwise it's easy to eat the whole pot at once. Probably I've done it. And then
I haven't.
No? Oh, okay. But then if you have a few spoons, like add something onto it so you don't feel like eating everything. Or maybe you do. Yeah, so from the menstrual phase, we go to the follicular phase. And this is, again, like the inner spring, things starts to blossom. You have increased energy levels and vitality. So, yeah, your energy is getting higher. You need to eat foods that support those. Estrogen levels rise as well, so eat foods to help balance estrogen. These foods include things like cruciferous vegetables, so that is broccoli, cauliflower, but also cabbage, kale, leafy greens again. I feel like leafy greens are going to come back.
I mean,
they're good for you.
Yeah.
And we're like steaming and sauteing your foods. Yeah. Just like you also need lighter meals. You need less calories because your metabolism is starting to work like slower again. So you need less than in your menstrual phase. And the lighter meals, like in spring, you need less food than normally maybe. Another specifics are like salmon, asparagus, avocado, lentils, and fermented foods are actually really good for you, especially also in this phase. Those are foods that are like kombucha, sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, things that have been left for a while to ferment. And these are also very important for your gut, which we'll go into later.
Because they contain a lot of like healthy bacteria.
Yeah, like the pro and prebiotics, like the things that your gut needs. From the follicular phase, you go to the ovulatory phase.
Ooh, our favorite.
We're feeling hot. It's the summer. And just like in summer, you maybe have noticed also, like in general, you need less. You're eating like fruits and ice cream and like colder foods,
meals.
like a salad, things like that. And that counts for here as well. Like you don't need as much. And of course, sometimes it will differ and you will need more. Don't feel bad about it. However, more like raw foods, salads, juices, smoothies, steaming and poaching is really nice in this phase. Whereas in the menstrual phase, you wanted to have those nutrient-dense warm foods. Like in winter, they're like really warm. Now you want the really colder foods to support it. This is also because estrogen is surging. Your liver is working very hard to break down this excess estrogen. So you want to continue like in the follicular phase with estrogen balancing foods. I think you can align a lot of foods with them as well. Maybe you can even split like the cycle up the month into more of 2 phases if you really want to start eating per your cycle, because splitting up for every week, 4 weeks, 4 phases is going to be... that's going to be tough. Yeah.
It can be overwhelming a little.
It can be very overwhelming. So maybe that's even a good start.
Yeah, but then when I was living in Madrid and I tried to apply this a little bit, like I just know for myself that at that point in time, like I did like weekly groceries and then I just had a look, like I didn't remember them all at once, but I just wrote it down and I was like, all right, this is the second phase. So now I need a little bit more of this. And then you can think like, oh, I'm going to grab a salmon or I'm going to do this.
But that's actually smart. Maybe what you can do is like, I'm going to do that. I think like make now I have just one big grocery list, but now I can make maybe 4 separate grocery lists or one general one with 4 separate ones for each phase, which foods or recipes I can make during that time.
That sounds really inviting.
Because I had like also my notes and I just wrote down like phase 1 and I wrote down like all the nutrients or like specific products like salmon that you could need in that moment. It was just a big list. And then from that, I could still choose like, oh, I'm feeling more like salmon or I'm feeling more like avocado right now. So it's not like you have to limit yourself because you have plenty of
choices.
And eating something that is good for your ovulatory phase doesn't mean you cannot eat it in your menstrual phase. Like it would still be good for you if it's like a whole food. And
just
it's
to
like,
support.
Yeah. Again, it's not to like get too stressed about it. Because that stress, that's like even worse for you.
Yeah, we don't need that.
We don't need
We're
the
trying to
stress.
balance
We're
here.
trying
I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to eat Nutella, just eat Nutella.
I will continue eating Nutella, girls.
Good for you.
And then maybe some foods like what we said, the raw foods, but like quinoa, cacao, red lentils, and dandelion sprouts are really good during this phase. Then we go on to luteal. Last one. So in the late luteal phase, again towards menstruation, your digestion becomes a bit quicker. And however, in the beginning, like it's kind of split into 2 weeks. It can be still slower. You need, in this phase, fiber-rich foods to support the large intestines and also complex carbohydrates. Your progesterone levels are increasing. So yeah, have really good foods again for this. Here are the same cruciferous vegetables, leafy greens, sweet potatoes. These things are iron, high fiber and complex carbohydrates. And that will also help with curbing like the hunger that you get. Because I think you really feel like the hunger. Yeah. I think that's even more than in your menstrual phase, probably. Like there you need to feed yourself, but I really feel it the week before.
True.
Oh,
Me too.
Eat a lot more.
I feel the cravings the most the week before.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like when I really start craving, like now it just became salty, but like when I really start craving, I'm like, ooh, that's a sign for me. Like, all right,
It's getting close.
But they're the same as with the grocery list and trying to eat with your cycle. Have some like recipes ready that are just to go that you can get. Like for each phase, if you have like one really good recipe that you really love, you can always go back to it when you feel like you really need to nourish your body. Same with like sweets. If you have like one really nice sweet thing that is really also maybe a healthier sweet, like a dark chocolate or something you bake yourself that you can just go to.
Okay.
Have those things ready to go. That would probably like be really nice when you do have those cravings or when you don't know what to do for a moment.
I mean, it's about making it easy for yourself.
Yes.
So make the bump to do it like as low as you can.
And also like you can start like slowly introducing these certain foods, you know, like slowly include them in your diet and then
you don't need to switch your life all at once. Then you're just going to go, you know, back to the old ways because it's going to be really hard to switch everything all at once.
Yeah. And then again, just listen to your body because at the end of the day, like your body knows best. Like no recipe, no diet is going to know it better. No researcher is going to know it better than your own body. So if you really feel like, oh, I need like this or this, then just do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Listen to yourself.
And then also remember, especially during this phase, but of course it counts for every day, to stay hydrated.
Oh, yes.
Drink plenty of water. It can help reduce bloating, brain fog, PMS. It's needed. Your body needs it. Like drink enough, please. And then one of the more specific things is also broccoli sprout. Also, again, like the cauliflower, squash, kale, but broccoli sprouts. And this one is actually really interesting because those are microgreens. You know, like the microgreens, they sometimes put on like your avocado toast. You have like little leaves on there. Those things are really good for you. It's also, there's like a list of 7 foods that you need to eat every day or that they say you need to eat every day. And microgreens is included on them. It has a ton of vitamins and minerals. It's so good for you. Plus, it is really good for your gut as well. So eating that food, like try to eat microgreens. You can buy it like from the store. However, you can also make it yourself. It's the easiest thing. I do it at home. And you just like have some water with the little seeds and it grows within 3 days and you cut it.
Oh, yeah, I know which ones you mean. I've seen them.
Yeah, and it's so easy. You can just snap it and then put it on the bread and you're done.
Yeah.
It's
I was
easy.
always wondering why people put these smallest leaves on my plate.
But that it's
Turns out it's good.
Yeah, and it's so small, so easy, and so good. Like, and you can just add it onto anything. If you're gonna start with incorporating a food, like this is a good start. It's easy. So there are a few more things to talk about regarding foods and nutrition. Maybe we can start into talking about the milk and the gluten.
Yes,
because there are so many opinions about that as well. I think for each foods you have a lot of different opinions. For myself, like my personal story, I am now going to try to reduce the gluten and cow's because I've been told that the cow's milk contains casein, and this can be really difficult for the body to break down, and it can disrupt your hormones. Like it doesn't count for everyone, but for me it probably does. So I'm going to try to like take that less. I'm gonna switch it out for like goats and sheep's milk because that doesn't contain the casein. It's a different protein chain, easier to break down, but it can also be replaceable with like almond milk, oat milk, as long as you check in those things, the ingredients, make sure it's like just almond and water.
But
and
I
salt.
also know that you buy your milk from this organic farmer.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah, so I buy the milk from from the organic farmer next to my house, and that is raw milk.
Oh.
And I actually asked her, like, I drink raw milk, isn't that then better? Like, can I not have that one? And she said no, because that still contains the casein. So casein is not lactose.
Okay.
And many people have like a lactose intolerance, but raw milk is unpasteurized, it's unheated, and therefore it still contains the lactase that breaks down the lactose. And because milks in the grocery store don't have that lactase anymore,
then you become
easier lactose intolerant
intolerant
because you don't have the enzyme to break down the lactose. However, of course, if you do decide to drink raw milk, take it from a good source. So yeah, that's why I'm trying to now switch, and we're gonna see how it goes. There are exceptions, however, and this is also really important to discuss the fats. The exceptions are with like cow's milk, butter, and ghee. Avocado also, like any general good fats are really important.
Healthy fats.
Healthy
not
fats.
French fries.
Exactly. You know what the good and bad fats are. But fats, especially for women, are so important. Having a too low fat percentage can lead to menstrual and hormonal disbalances and pains. And you just need to overall ensure good fats, good macronutrients, good micronutrients, like the proteins, fats, carbs, all the minerals and vitamins to really help your hormones like be balanced. And also as a woman, don't feel bad that you need more fat. Like a woman needs more fat than a man.
A woman needs to have a higher fat percentage.
Yeah.
I think it's for men, like it can be higher, of course, but like the minimum for men is 9%. The minimum for women is 14%.
Yeah. And that's a minimum.
That's like, a minimum.
Yeah. And it has a real effect on your hormones. Like you need those healthy fats. And it doesn't mean that you have to be like, we're not promoting obesity or something, but having like a little bit of fat on your body as a woman, that's what's important.
Actually, I have a funny story about that.
Tell us.
Because, I used to live in Oman. And in Oman, the men say that this is about married women, but, it's in general because they have this thing in their culture that a woman needs to be buttery. So, a little bit buttery. Otherwise, if she's too skinny, then they say it's a sad woman and whatever.
She needs to eat well.
So let's be buttery women.
Let's be buttery.
Yeah, let's be buttery. I like that. And then the last thing, gluten.
It's talked about a lot.
It's talked about a lot.
Yeah.
I think it differs also per person. Like, for example, Margot, you
I eat pasta every day.
Every day, yes.
Well, she is Italian, but
and she's Italian.
Because you grew up with it.
I grew up with it. I've been eating pasta every day since I was, 3, I don't know.
Since you were
born.
born.
Yeah, basically.
But it's interesting, like gluten, it can be hormonal and hormonal disbalance. For me, it can probably, so I'm also trying to switch it out, like with buckwheat flour. And it's actually, it's really easy to switch out, like what I've seen from now on. So if you make some things yourself. One exception, however, like sourdough bread is a really, really nice source. And this goes on to why our next topic, like the gut. Sourdough bread has gone through a fermentation process, and therefore it has less gluten, but also the gluten that it does have are very easier to digest.
Okay.
And then it's really good for your gut as well.
Because like gluten can be considered bad for you because they're difficult to break down for the body, right?
Yeah, and also I think it also like it has effect on your gut, therefore it has effect on your I think it needs to like prioritize to break down then the gluten, which is even harder. So it also disturbs like soaking up the other vitamins and minerals that you need.
But then again, this is like not a one-way thing to go, because like often like it's marketed as in like, okay, gluten can be bad for you, so you need a gluten-free diet. It doesn't work like that. No. It's not like, okay, sugars might be bad for you, but
the ingredients again.
Just it's all about a balance again.
Yes,
for sure. And the same with sourdough, like check the ingredients, because many companies say, oh, we have sourdough bread, but it's not real sourdough. They add in all the ingredients.
All right.
Okay.
That's good to know.
And maybe,
Alright.
for the gut. So Hippocrates once said, all disease starts in the gut. And that
Yes.
is really true. Your gut is your second brain. It's extremely important to take care of it.
I mean, a lot of your hormones, like more hormones are produced through the gut than through your brain. That's
Yeah.
a fun fact to know. So that is like what you eat is what you are, because it literally gets like processed into your hormones,
Yeah.
into your whole body.
Yeah, not having that good gut function, like it really affects your hormones. You can even see it again in your basal body temperature, that it becomes lower. And when you have a good microbiome, so everything that's going on in the gut, you can also better absorb the vitamins and minerals that you need. It's a really big subject. We won't dive deep into it now about the gut, but look into it. We will also post some resources on where you can look into it.
And maybe it's
yeah.
good to mention though, like what we mean with a good gut is just that it's like an ecosystem with pre and probiotics, and you just want to have as many as you can. Just like in nature, biodiversity is so important.
Yeah.
So that means don't always eat the same thing every day, because you need
Yes.
different things.
Yeah, like be versatile in the foods you eat. I think that's also like one of the best things that you can do for your overall health, for your gut. Eat different types of foods. They once said like try to eat 100 different foods a month.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Variety is good.
Yeah.
Variety.
Yeah, variety. Okay, then I want to mention one more thing before we move on, which is also seed cycling. And that is a
Yes.
really fun thing to try and do.
Yeah,
This
I don't know
means
about this.
that during your menstrual and follicular phase, you take pumpkin and flax seeds. And during your luteal and ovulatory phase, you take sesame and sunflower seeds. This is to promote and boost estrogen during your follicular phase and progesterone during your luteal phase. So it's just an extra thing that you can do. Yeah, it's a fun thing to try and see if it does something. And then overall, it's important to nourish your body. You can really notice your body, like the effects of it, if you're not nourishing yourself well.
Yeah,
There are
it's true.
many.
It's a spiral.
Yeah.
I had a
Like,
question.
yes.
Okay.
Because coffee is a big thing in everyone's life.
Yeah.
We all start our day with a good glass of coffee. So how do you think coffee affects our
Yeah,
hormones?
We do have different opinion
Yeah.
about this.
Okay.
I think here as well, like I would say, like overall, they are saying coffee is terrible for the female ecosystem,
Yeah,
like at
okay.
any stage, at any part of your cycle.
Like the worst thing.
Yeah, it's like one of the worst things to take. It increases cortisol and depletes vital vitamins and minerals, and it depletes micronutrients essential for hormonal health. I think I do agree with it. However, I do think there again here is a balance in there as well. I've read also many benefits and studies of drinking coffee.
Okay.
But I don't think it should be too much. There are like limits to it and things that you can do.
Yeah.
For example, like try to limit it 1 to 2 cups a day,
Yeah.
as it also impacts your sleep. Sleep so important.
Yeah.
Because it can stay up to like 12 hours in your whole system. So whenever I drink coffee, I drink it after breakfast, so after I've eaten
Yeah,
something.
never on an empty stomach.
Don't do it on
I
an empty
mean,
stomach.
We
Yeah.
all did it, but it's
Yeah.
best not to do it.
Yeah.
As Italians, we say that we can have maximum 4 cups of espresso in a day.
On an empty stomach?
No, in a day. So we usually have espresso in the morning after lunch, and some people, obviously, one in the afternoon, and then some people have it after dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First thing in the morning, your cortisol still needs to spike. It still
Yeah.
needs to do its thing, and you're just disrupting that whole waking up
Natural
system,
process.
the natural waking up
Yeah.
system in your body. So yeah, I drink coffee between 10 to 1 after breakfast, maximum 2 cups a day. Yeah.
All right.
And then I think it could have benefits.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
And sorry, not during your menstrual and luteal phase. Like there, it is really disruptive. You can actually notice whenever I drink coffee during those phases, like my cramps are worse.
they get worse.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But then again, it's coffee.
It's coffee. Like it's
So
hard.
we love it.
Yeah, it's hard to switch out.
Just balance. Everything
Again,
is a balance.
balance.
All right.
If you remember one thing, then it's this.
It's this.
Everything is a balance.
It needs to be in balance. Yes.
And then we move on to the sports. This was also very requested. I mean, fair enough, because it's nice to know this for yourself.
Yeah.
And we would just go over it, like the winter and menstruation, etc. So starting with menstruation, like again, this is like your inner winter. You don't have as much energy as you would have normally. So it's really nice to go easy on yourself here, like go for a gentle walk, stretch, easy movement. I mean, you just want to do movements that reduce
yoga
discomfort.
And Pilates even.
Yeah,
really nice,
exactly.
specifically for the menstrual cycle, menstrual phase. If you're like feeling really cramps and such, you can do that.
Yeah, but then also again, like in the early follicular phase, that's when like the slowly the hormones start to rise again. If you then feel that you like get a little bit more energy, don't be afraid to like exercise while you're on your period. Like you can definitely be able to lift more weight while you're on your period as well. It's not like just because you're on your period, you need to do everything slow and easy.
No,
I think
of
you
course.
can also notice there, like if you do consistent weight training, you will be able to set PRs and lift more weights during your ovulation. And then during your menstrual, it just all gets a bit heavier. So maybe you can lower down the weights, do a different kind of weight workout, or just make it a bit easier, like in what your body needs at that point. It doesn't mean that you need to stop working out completely.
I think it all depends on the energy that you're feeling.
Yeah.
Because some women may feel more energetic, some women may feel less energetic.
Exactly.
Follow and listen to your body.
Yeah. And then in the follicular phase, which is again the spring, this is like where the estrogen and testosterone may rise a little bit. So here in this phase of your cycle, you can make it easier to build muscle.
Yeah.
So this is a great time for cardio and strength training, and they can feel their best at this period of time. So things like high intensity training, cycling, weight training, and the weight training also helps to balance estrogen production. Good thing to know. And while we're at this, I also wanted to mention you forwarded this to us on Instagram yesterday. And it was very interesting. And I thought we might want to share it here. So actually, testosterone is a very important thing while exercising.
Right.
I mean, we know that. But it's good to know that testosterone like rises the second that you start exercising.
Okay.
But it drops after 45 minutes. So this is why like exercise movements of like 1.5 hours are not per se more productive.
Yeah.
Right.
Like make it short, make it quick. That's just the best for your body to have a quick like adrenaline, quick testosterone spike, and that's it.
I think it's also probably easier like to continue with like doing like if you work out like 5 times a week for 45 minutes, that's already, for me at least, much more doable than if I have to schedule out a 2-hour time frame every day.
Yeah. I mean, also time-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's already good if you go to the gym to begin with.
Yeah, because
So-
of course these are like things that you can do, but if you don't work maybe out at the moment at all, just moving your body is already a really good start.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. Because, for example, I don't do sports at all. Sorry. So I wanted to ask, is it terrible that I don't do sports throughout my phases, or is it fine?
I think, well, it's not, I don't want to call it terrible, but I do think it will have an effect. There are like really many studies on this, also for your later age development, like if you how you work out now and move your body. So even if it's with running, weightlifting, swimming, like whatever you're doing, just moving your body at all will be a really good start. And then when you're really into it, you can of course like try to switch things and try to optimize them for
I mean, I'm biking a lot
cycle.
here.
But biking is
That
movement.
counts.
Also like cleaning your whole house
Yeah, I
whilst
do that a lot.
dancing
I do that.
Again,
is movement. Yeah.
I mean, you have a cleaning playlist, and I still listen to that. You made that like 3 years ago.
Can
like
you resend this to me?
She lost it in the years.
I still have it. Like it's on Spotify. It's just these hyped up songs,
Yeah.
and I mean,
That you need.
You don't need to go to the gym in order to work out. I mean, you just put on this thing on the loudest volume and just aggressive cleaning.
Yes.
Aggressive cleaning.
That can be good enough.
Aggressive cleaning is a workout.
That's
So,
true.
yeah.
That's true.
All right.
And then to the ovulation. This is again the summer, Beyonce, whatever. This is a one-day event, the ovulation itself. But surrounding it, like the period surrounding it, can make you feel more energized. So you may find that you can withstand higher levels of exhaustion than during other times of the month. So again, like high-intensity interval training, cycling, running, weightlifting, swimming. This is the moment of truth where you can do everything with your body.
Yeah.
'Cause you
Yeah.
can't, 'cause
I don't know if you've noticed it as well if you work out in the gym, Amber, but that I set my PRs like in my ovulation, and then during menstrual phase I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna take it easy, and like it's all a bit lower weights, but in my ovulation I'm like, whoa, suddenly 100 kilo hip thrust. I'm like, whoa, that's so good.
but like it's reasonable and it's logical because your body does have more energy, like literally. So that's good to know. And then we have the luteal phase. So this is the week before your period, again, the fall. And here your body can retain more water, so you might have more difficulty cooling down in this
It's also probably why you're bloated as well. Like during the luteal phase, you
hold
see
more
Yeah,
water.
like I'm always a bit thinner and hotter, like in the ovulation, and then in my menstrual or like luteal phase, I feel bloated.
Yeah.
and-
Yep, definitely.
And I mean, we talked about this prior, but I mean, if you're feeling more hungry prior to your period, then that's completely normal because your body is slightly less insulin sensitive. So it's like a logical reasoning behind it. And you need more calories, specifically carbohydrates, and you can increase your calories actually by 5 to 10%.
Wow.
So again,
Interesting.
do with that information what you want, and also be aware that you have more difficulty cooling down. So like a low impact cardio, yoga, Pilates, walking, swimming might be a good option. during this month.
exactly. I think just looking at each phase with what options are best for you, doing what feels right for your body. And again, for like the normal folks like us, it will be different than if you're trying to become an Olympic champion in
course,
something.
yeah,
Then
of
you
course.
really need to, like, this is not advice for there, of course.
No.
But just in general, moving your body and then looking into maybe supporting each phase, even extra with nutrition and with sports is always a good option.
Yeah.
So then
All
I
right.
guess that was all the information that we wanted to say,
Yes.
right?
It's been a lot again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, if you have any questions, please contact us online. We will post also more resources.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much information about this. You can keep going. So we couldn't include everything. But if you have like something that you're like, oh, I really wanted to know this, then please feel free to let us know.
Yes. Comment in our Instagram,
Hormonize the podcast.
Remember that. And yeah.
Thank you all for
Thank you.
listening. And I
Thank
guess the
you.
next episode will be more talkative about stress, lifestyle.
Yes. Health.
The masculine and the feminine as well. We'll also go into some herbs,
Oh,
Yep.
yes.
things you can do. Yeah.
Yep.
More general as well. Like
And
of
it will be
life.
the last
The last
episode.
episode.
Shed a tear.
But that's also the thing. Like, we need to fit everything into 4 episodes. It's so much.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to talk about everything or go in depth on,
On
everything, that
everything.
we want to do.
Yeah.
But all right.
But it's
All right
Thank
then.
you all
Thank
for
you so
listening.
Thank you
much.
all.
Have a
And
great day.